Good morning. It's another beautiful morning here in Britain. It's the end of week 7 of lockdown, which is a very strange time for all of us in Britain and other countries, even in Israel. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, and yet the world is experiencing something that we in our lifetime have never had to deal with. Now, I don't know if anybody is ever going to watch this video, but I feel I have to record it. I want to testify to the work of God in my own life and how wonderful it has been to discover the Jewish Messiah in my own life in 1982. That's a long time ago. I became a believer in Yeshua, in Jesus, the Jewish Messiah, and I came into an unseen kingdom, not of this world, and the most profound changes began to happen in my own life. First of all, being freed from all the angst and depression, the heavy weight and burden that I had felt all my young life when I was only 18 in those days. And I came into a lightness of spirit, peace, joy, and a love and acceptance that I felt coming from God that I didn't even know were ever possible. And here I am, a middle-aged man. I have walked with Yeshua for 38 years, most of my life by far, and I am just so grateful to him that he had mercy on a young Gentile teenager and gave him such a reason to live and a joy in his heart that like I said, I didn't even know were possible. Now here is my most treasured possession, my Bible. It is the one thing, apart from my wife and my kids, that I don't think I could live without. It's a bit foreboding. It doesn't look very inviting. And yet, in this book, oh my goodness, the treasure that I have found. Now, I have heard and read that many religious Jews, they don't even read this very much. The portions of the Bible which are recommended for you are chosen by the rabbis, but the very religious Jews actually don't spend much time reading the Bible. They spend much more time reading rabbinic teaching, the tradition of the elders. I don't think ordinary Jewish people who maybe don't describe themselves as very religious would spend much time in this book either. And there are many things, especially in the prophets, which are very hard to understand. Let's face it, the last book of prophecy in the Old Testament was written 2,400 years ago. And you could be forgiven for thinking, how is this book relevant to my life? 2,400 years, that time span is longer than the prophets were ever writing for. And yet so much of what they spoke about does not seem to have come true if you do not accept that Yeshua is the Messiah. Excuse me a sec. Isaac, I just need you to give me 5 minutes. Okay, I'll come and call you. 5 minutes. So my son's desperate to get on his Xbox, even though it's early in the morning. I'm going to call him in 5 minutes. So if you don't accept that Yeshua is the Messiah, then the prophecies in the Old Testament make no sense whatsoever. How can they even be fulfilled? the ones which speak of the one who is to come. 2,400 years and just stum from God. Waiting and waiting and waiting. No wonder that so many people in Israel think it's just a load of rubbish. It's never going to happen. But if you think God only seemed to be quiet for 400 years, then suddenly so much in this book starts to make sense. I just would like to read a few verses from the prophet Micah. So this was written 700 years before the birth of Jesus, of Yeshua. 700 years before the Romans came and conquered Israel. And Micah says this in chapter 5 verse 2. But you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins are from old, from ancient times. So many scholars, even back 2,000 years ago, they knew that the Messiah would be born in the city of David, in Bethlehem. But you know, so many people in modern day Israel, they don't even know that this is in their Bible. It's kept hidden from them. Nobody talks about it because they know that Yeshua, Jesus, was born in Bethlehem. And because so many people in Israel hate even the sound of his name, they deny that this is in the Jewish scriptures. And many people in modern Israel believe that verse is in the New Testament, that it's a Christian writing. Let's look at verse 4. He, that's the one who was to be born,